Hello, welcome to Learn It from a Layman. I am Carl Christensen still, and I have back with us again Cameron Christensen. Cameron, how are you?
Good.
Good. We've missed you because I've had to put up with Tim the last few times. And Tim, the uninvited guest Cox, is back.
Your restraining order did not hold up in court.
I got to get better lawyers. All right.
Gone with Cochran.
Yeah. Okay. So we will today be discussing summer vacations. We're going to go do a top 5 list of our top summer vacations. Each of us has the top 5 list we're going to discuss. So we're going to walk you through our reasoning behind our top 5 and the different vacations that you can consider for your summer vacation coming up in the next few months. So, Cameron, get us started.
Okay. So, as a preface, 3 out of these 5 are things that I've always wanted to do. But I feel that some of these will not happen for me. But hopefully for our listeners, they will have a chance to do these things. All right. So, I was thinking back through my favorite vacations that I've done as a child, and we have done plenty of vacations. One of the things that always stuck out to me was the cousins summer camp we did one summer, where we all got together, and all the aunts taught us different things, so we could be better, more productive people. And I've always reflected upon that as probably one of my favorite summers that we ever did. So,
and if I can just chime in with that, yeah, and that particular event just happened in the yards and kitchens of different aunts and uncles. So it wasn't even a trip at all. But I remember that well too, and it was super fun time. I think one of the secrets to success on any good vacation is go with people that you want to be with, and you could go anywhere. You could go to dang Walmart and have more fun there if you're with, friends or family that you enjoy being with than if you went to some exotic and amazing place. But and not to say that you can't have fun alone, but the best trips in my memory I took with people that I really enjoyed being with.
Tim has clearly not been to Fiji by himself. So.
Don't remind me.
I believe that was with his supermodel girlfriend when he went to Fiji.
Who is now my wife. Hey, Bethany.
Hey. Yes.
But I have been to Walmart many times with people that I care about.
This is true, even with your wife.
That's right.
So kind of joined to that with the Walmart thing. I did have a game with my friends back in college where we would play in Walmart like hide and seek and other random games till we got kicked out during college. So
starting to stop watch and see how long you can last, right?
It was kind of one of those games that we would do. So problem is that it was Walmart, so you could go a while before they would get angry. That and it was like 2 a.m. So.
Not that we recommend this action to any minors who may be listening.
So with the summer camp, we learned different things. We learned how to sew, cook. We learned some gymnastics. And it was just a lot of fun because we got to know our cousins a lot better and their family, and we also got to learn each other's, I think, strengths and weaknesses. What made us closer. So I think that's was really one of the fun things that made that. So maybe for people, when you're looking at things, maybe going to do a, it's kind of cheesy sentence, but go to a one of those workshop camps, where they basically teach you how to become closer. It sounds crazy, but I think that, definitely, from what Tim chimed in, it was definitely one of his probably up there, favorite things.
Oh, yeah.
So my second one is when My family went to Hong Kong.
It's a good one.
It was really fun. We hung out with my uncle that was a diplomat there, and we just went and saw all the sites. It was a lot of fun. We went toward actually U.S. Navy ship boat. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to use the term, but it was fun.
Sounds good.
All right, ship. And then we went into mainland China and went to a nice little town called Shenzhen. And I
No longer a nice little town, incidentally. It's like 12 million.
Not entirely sure there are little towns in China anymore.
well, I can't. We went to a little cultural center that they had there, and I was picked frequently by lots of pretty Chinese girls to dance with them. So
Tall, square-jawed American man.
And at the time, Cameron, I swear during the summer your hair, Cameron, had kind of like a reddish hue.
Yeah, when my hair blondes out, if I spend a lot of time in the sun, it does get a little lighter and a lot more red. So,
you know, Cameron, it's funny because I've been to Hong Kong and Shenzhen too, and I did not get asked to dance like ever.
I was asked to dance every single site that we went to. I think
they just knew that I was a taken man, I guess. That's the only explanation.
Also, maybe my stature had something to do with it. I'm not sure.
Tim blended in very well in Asia.
For those that don't know, I am almost 6'5", so.
And Tim is almost 5'5".
I'm also almost 6'5", if you round generously.
Yes, if we add that extra 9-10 inches.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
All right. I was sporting you a couple there. I mean, come on.
Yeah, thanks. Can I, since we're on the topic of Asia, can I chime in with this is actually my don't vacation. And with recent news, I think most listeners will agree that one Asia vacation I would very much hesitate to do would be summiting Everest.
Right. Well, Tim, that's because you are weak and generally afraid of death.
Just because I've shown to have problems with altitude in the past, and because even experienced and, hardened mountaineers routinely die up there, it's just like, do I really want to do a trip that would, has good odds of killing me? Bad plan. Go on a cruise. Don't summit Everest. I'm just putting it out there for anyone who's thinking about it. If you're like, okay, cruise to the Bahamas, summit Everest, go with the Bahamas.
All right. That actually brings me to two of my other top 5 vacations I want to do. Number 4 is I want to do a cruise. I have never been on a cruise. I've always wanted to do a cruise. I think this is definitely a doable one for me to do. I know most of my family has gone on cruises. They seem to enjoy them.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, well, I and my wife are big fans of cruises. There are better and less. Well, in general, we've enjoyed all of our cruises, but there certainly are the cream of the crop, and then there are ones that are more of your, that was nice type of cruise experiences. But
so I've never been on a cruise. So for you cruisers, what's your top recommendation?
All right, so I'm not a cruiser, as in many people out there have tried lots of different cruises, lots of different cruise lines. My wife and I have gone on 3, one on 3 different cruise lines. The cruise line, I think, matters quite a bit. And obviously the destinations are also important. So we've done a Bahamas. It was in New York down to the Bahamas, Florida cruise. We've done and then 2 Mexican cruises, one Mexican Riviera and one just Ensenada, and
Huh.
so. As far as just generic advice, we really liked our Royal Caribbean cruise as far as the quality of the ship. Our Norwegian cruise, which was the one of the Bahamas, was the best entertainment. And then we did a Carnival cruise. Now, Carnival, if you're doing the research, does get a bad rap, and it probably wasn't as high quality as the other two, like I was saying, but. So there's nothing wrong with Carnival. Like, we enjoyed our experience. It was a nice cruise. So it's generally cheaper. So if that's what fits your schedule and your budget, then there's nothing wrong with Carnival cruise. It just might not. Your entertainment's going to be maybe not quite as good, and your food slightly lower quality. But it is endless food regardless, and all of these cruises. So
should I get the drink package? I hear that you should get it.
I have and I have not. It depends on what your soda consumption habits are.
Some of our listeners may not just consume soda.
That is true. All right, so I'm a teetotaler, and so I didn't use any alcoholic beverages on any of these cruises, so which will give you some insight into what type of cruise we expect and what kind of cruise we like. But yeah, so I just got soda, and that's good.
All right. The other one I was doing, kind of what Tim was going on, is I've always wanted to backpack across Europe in my 20s.
Okay, so you've missed that.
I've missed that chance. I feel that I'll never be able to do that, but I always kind of wanted to go out on my own and just live, and enjoy stuff. Never really got that chance. I'm not sure if I missed something, or maybe I did. I don't know. It's one of those things I always wanted to do, but never did.
I'm sure Katie can see her way to kicking you out of the house, and you can try backpacking in Europe in your 30s. So.
It's possible. I don't think so, but that's also one of the other things that I want to do, which I still think is doable, is I just want to be by myself for like 30 days with no electronic devices or anything, just a bunch of books to read and a freezer full of meat and a nice grill.
You've just petrified all of the millennials that are listening to our podcast. They're actually all like in a fetal position, like weeping.
No.
So it was
and no electronics.
It was tied between doing that or punching a celebrity in the face. I really don't. I think it'd be a fun vacation. You'd probably get arrested, so I'm thinking that kind of falls under vacation. You're not allowed to go anywhere or do anything for a while.
Yeah, that's right. You'd get the same effect.
I figure it's the same effect as a cruise. You're stuck in a small area for a while. You get 3 meals a day.
And probably shuffleboard.
Oh,
Except I hear some prisons have better entertainment than the Carnival Cruise Line.
Probably similar.
That'd be awesome. You got like karaoke night.
I'm pretty sure our cruise director was wearing an orange jumpsuit at least part of the time.
Half the crew is on work release. That'd be awesome. Ooh, that's something to that. Prison cruise ship. It's going to be like Prison Break. It'll be a TV miniseries,
Okay.
There we go.
This is a good idea.
All right,
there's our next $1 million idea. Yep, that's my 5. Yeah.
That's 5. Nice. Cool. All right, Tim, you're on.
All right. So I'm going to just put out my number 1, the Campout. So pick your place. One of my favorite spots is this place in Arizona called Fossil Springs. It's super cool. The springs bubble up out of the ground. There's a dam that creates this kind of like spot where you can cliff dive. There's blackberry bushes. It's the surrounding area is dry and arid, and the hike in when I did it was pretty strenuous. But then you descend way down into this little kind of ravine valley. And it's all green, and just the water flowing, and it's this little paradise, and it was so cool. Tragically, it was discovered by like people who don't practice, Boy Scout style camping, like, leave it better than you found it, and became kind of a party destination. So, but in its prime, it was this incredible place, kind of. And so, but anyways, you can find all sorts of spots like that to go on a camp out. So, just get basic equipment, tent, tarp, sleeping bags, stuff to cook with and make fire with, basic toiletries and lighting, and you're on your way, And it's really something kind of like what Cameron mentioned, just that getting out, getting away, getting in nature is something that is really nice for some vacation time, rejuvenating.
Yeah, disconnecting I think is important, just being able to know no one can get a hold of you. You don't need to, I mean, maybe that's a bad thing to say, not knowing no one can get to you, but being able to turn off the cell phone, turn off everything. I really think that's important for lots of people. I know the millennials might shake about that, but I think it's definitely important to actually be able to disconnect from our world.
Yeah.
To really enjoy the beauty in it. You don't need to take a picture sometimes. Sometimes the picture in your head is better,
Yeah, and they call it unstringing the bow. A bow that is always strung will not be as powerful as a bow that's occasionally unstrung and let just lie.
Yes, because what is it? The constant tension destroys the mechanical advantage over time that you have with the bow.
Well said. So yeah, anyways, there you go. And the other nice thing about those you can do that vacation anywhere. You're anyone is within a few hours drive of a decent camping location, and you can do it cheap. You don't need the big expense of a cruise or a airplane flight or hotels.
Yeah. I would make sure that you're following the appropriate rules wherever you go, though, because there are some places that are leave no trace, and that means you bring a shovel and a plastic bag, and everything you bring in, you take out. So
yep. And here in the West, you've got fire restrictions often due to drought and so forth. So got to pay attention, do a little online research.
Yeah, make sure you water that fire pit after you use it so it's not hot and stuff like that. There's definitely things you need to know if you've never camped before to follow, because that's when forest fires happen and makes everybody over here in the West a little sad.
Yeah. All right, number 2 for me is actually the total opposite. I love going to huge cities, and I don't fully understand why, but I'm always just fascinated by big cities, crowded places, and especially if the city's got some history. So, London, San Francisco. I know all my Brits are going to scoff that I spoke those two in the same sentence. They'll be like, San Francisco has a mere 300, 400 centuries of history. London has, millennia. And it's true. But, they've both got interesting stories. Cameron hardly mentioned Hong Kong. So a place where you can go and not only enjoy, there's so many cool things that a city has to offer you. Invariably, they're melting pots of different, nationalities. So you can sample authentic foods from around the world, meet people from around the world, hear languages, and see cultures from around the world. Cities will have, long history, things, major events that happened. So, go to New York and see where George Washington, was inaugurated. Go to London and, see where coronations happen. And actually, one of my favorite vacations was when I went to London with my dad. And my dad has this cool thing that he does that really made the trip fun and take on a new angle. And that is, you check out some books.
Is that called his personality?
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, Dad's a fun person to be around, in addition to his cool vacation technique. So what he does is when he's going to visit a place, he'll get books, like history books on that location. And so I did that some before the trip, and of course he had some as well. So we'd be reading up on these crazy, crazy stories about the Tower of London and things that happened there, intrigued, romance-inspired jailbreaks, murders, beheadings, stealing the crown jewels and all this stuff. And then the next day we'd go and actually walk around the places where it happened. And that's cool. And it makes, sightseeing so much more vivid and interesting. You can just kind of stand there and close your eyes and in your mind's eye imagine, the scene playing out exactly where you are. So that's something that makes any trip, I think, much more interesting. And so you don't just kind of passively sit on a tour bus and have the tour guide say, well, this is where blah, blah happened. But you can actually kind of have the story already prepped in your mind. And there's easily accessible books. You don't have to get dusty old history books that are, tomes. There's you just do a search on your library or on audio books, and you'll find collections of short histories about different places, different events. And anyways, you don't have to do a lot of reading to learn some interesting facts that will really add some spark to your trip. So anyways,
do you think part of your filial love of large cities comes that you live in, bounces back between either the fifth or the sixth largest city in the U.S.?
I actually know, because it's interesting. Going to Phoenix is a totally different feel than being, at least for me, than in the suburbs where I grew up. So even though I am part of that vast metropolitan area, I don't consider myself a Phoenixer. I'm an East Valley. That's kind of my identity. And so for me, probably the opposite. Going to a big city feels just a little bit foreign and exciting for that reason, that I didn't need to make a lot of trips to the city. So yeah, but that's just me. I think different people have different tastes and interests.
Well, me and Carl used to go to Chi-Town frequently as children to go see, because the museums and such that they had there was a great opportunity for us to go, and we would do that frequently.
Oh,
yeah.
So.
And yeah, there's no shortage. Like you'll never go to those big cities and ever, leave and feel like, oh, okay, I saw everything or I did everything. You'll always be like, oh man, I wish I had longer. It's kind of fun.
All right.
That wasn't 5, right, Tim?
But sure. My last little thing was to talk about going to visit my parents in Beijing, and so one more. I'll call this the visit those expats trip, because going to a foreign land, you're often you get sucked into like a tour bus system where they just shuttle you around and drop you at different tourist traps to buy trinkets and stuff. You don't really get a real feel for the place. And it's expensive, but if you can go somewhere where you actually know someone who lives there and you can stay with them, then you've got someone who knows the area, who can recommend stuff. You can just kind of strike out on your own with a little more confidence, and you don't get stuck in that just, oh, I'm a Western tourist junkie. So, if you know people who live in a foreign country, curry their favor and see if you can go and stay with them and then visit the area at your leisure.
My parents have already said you're not invited, Tim. So.
Yeah, when has that ever stopped me?
That's true. You've been on how many podcasts now?
Tim, challenge accepted.
Kate and I are going over there this January, just so you know.
So Cameron and Carl's parents, for our listeners who would like to know, are moving overseas. So they'll have a chance to do that firsthand.
Yeah, though we already visited your dad. So we all had our parents live international at this. Well, our parents are about to move international. Cameron and mine and Tim's parents are just coming back from international stay of 10, 15 years now?
13, I think.
Okay.
Parents get crazy. They run off.
Does it hurt that they're moving farther away from you in they're living a state away from you, not going back to their home state?
Well, as one who moved to where the job was, you can't complain.
Right.
And
Yeah, I think it's mostly just they didn't want to come too close to you, Tim. So
I,
that's
I,
best.
I really think that might be it. The heat does things to people,
guys, Bethany
Hot.
listens to these podcasts just sobbing when she wants to lay into me.
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying hot weather makes people crazy. I mean, we can talk about geopolitics if you like.
That's right. It was funny once. So she said, Tim, people who don't know, like, you guys will be like totally think that just they're being all nasty to you and stuff.
I tried to explain. Did Bethany listen to the one? You stopped me from explaining the dynamic of this perpetual Tim dig, but we'll just continue that way and pretend that we hate you. So
it's good for me.
Okay, good. Yeah, I figured that Bethany would kind of enjoy it. Actually, keep you.
Well,
keep you grounded.
It helps me to feel alive.
Okay, it's my turn now. So your vacations were all cute and stuff. But this is the real list. All right. No, but so before I get into my top 5, I'm going to give kind of, and Cameron and Tim have touched on, there's kind of a way that you plan vacations. I think kind of an ideal way to plan vacations. And I think for the vast majority, let's say like 95% of the world, you start off not with like where you want to go, but how much money you have.
Thus camping.
Start with a budget, because in reality, if you say, okay, yeah, like I'm going to take my wife or whatever, my spouse, and we're going to go to Fiji for 2 weeks or Bora Bora, no, you're not. You're not doing that, because you don't have, it turns out, $50K to blow on a vacation. So start with your budget and then go from there. So then obviously number of people, if it's going to be you, your spouse, maybe a group of friends, and figure out what number of people you have to take with you, because that's also going to play into budget and other considerations. Then the type of people that are going. So for example, my wife is laid back vacations. She's more of a lay on the beach type of vacationer than a let's see how many museums we can go to today type of vacationer. So a very important consideration is that you find something that can make everyone going on the vacation happy, and so that's important. And then obviously, like Tim already mentioned, if you have then connections, you can say, okay, I've got this budget. These are the type of people I'm taking on the trip with me, and the kind of trip I want. Now let's start looking at what our options are. So if I want to go to Asia, do I have anyone that I know in Asia? Or if I want to go to Europe, do I have someone I know in Europe that I can maybe, if not, stay at their house, maybe at least meet up with them. They can show me some of the ways to get around some of these tourist traps, like Tim said. So some of those types of connections, be it friends or family, could be a good way to also make the trip more fun instead of just you and the group by yourself. You can then it becomes kind of an opportunity to reconnect with other people that you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
And then finally, of course, is just the consideration of time, be it work or family-related concerns you have to be back for. So all of these are going to play into how you figure out what trips are realistic. And so while these are your top vacations, these are top, for me, realistic vacation ideas. Well, semi-realistic, all right, at least. So let's start with number 5. Number 5 is a trip to Europe. So Cameron talked about backpacking Europe, and that does sound pretty awesome. Mine is not backpacking Europe, but more of like your generic, I'm going to fly to Europe and see the touristy places type of thing. So this is something that Cameron and I did when we were in high school. My parents took us over there with our other brother, and we got to do Paris and London. And so that was pretty cool. Really worthwhile trip. And while it's very touristy, obviously, something that everyone kind of talks about doing and wants to do, and almost everyone in their life, if they really want to, gets a chance to do that. It is also still worth doing. As as an American myself, and as Americans here on our podcast, we have strong connections to Western Europe, and so it's nice to go back there and check out, London and Paris and Berlin or whatever it might be there that we. I think throughout school, Western Europe is the place that we study the most, other than America. So, it's considerations, and this will go across the other 4 as well, though. Other than trying to bum off family, look at Airbnb type stuff or hostel. I mean, everyone knows about hostels as well. Those don't always work for everyone, but Airbnb is becoming far more ubiquitous. And so that is a good way to kind of avoid some of the expenses that you get with hotels. So you can get something significantly cheaper on Airbnb. Now, I enjoy hotel stays, so if you're a big fan of hotels, go for it. But they can add a little bit of cost to your trip.
Well, unless you have family that works at a hotel.
Oh, good point.
There's a tip: get a job at a hotel, or have a cousin who does.
Yes, I was also going to say Carl and I did get to see Notre Dame before it burned down.
That is true.
You rub it in.
Rub Notre Dame into what?
Tachat.
I could get some of its ashes and make you a nice mask.
Oh, ouch. The French will kill you now.
Yeah, so lots of the cool things to see in Paris. Notre Dame maybe slightly less cool now than it was before, but still there, kind of. The Eiffel Tower is pretty awesome. Anyway, lots of cool things to see in Paris and London. So I recommend that trip to Europe. Okay, number 4, Iceland. All right, I had the opportunity to go to Iceland. Became kind of trendy here relatively recently to go to Iceland, but dang it, I did it before it was cool.
That's true. Iceland is kind of a hipster spot now, huh?
Yeah. But Iceland, pretty awesome.
I blame Ben Stiller.
Oh, that's true. The what movie that was?
Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Oh, right. That came out like a year or two, a year after I came back. Well, anyway, whatever. It was shortly around the time that I went to Iceland that movie came out, and I watched that movie, and I remember thinking, I've been there. So pretty cool.
Have you guys read
been to
the story?
Papa John's? And no, I have not.
You got to read it. It's just a short story, but as well, I haven't seen the movie, so but.
Yeah.
Which movie?
Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
There's 2. There's the Ben Stiller, and then there's the Danny Kaye.
Oh, really? There's a Danny Kaye one? I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen either.
Okay.
Anyway, Iceland, pretty awesome. It's very unique. And one of the things I just touch on briefly in Iceland, other than the water constantly smelling like sulfur, so I mean, you literally get out smelling worse from the shower than you got in. If you go in the summer, and we're talking about summer vacations, it's northern enough that it's sunny it's light throughout the night, and so that can throw you off a little bit. I remember waking up at 1 or 2 in the morning and looking outside, and it looked literally like it did when I fell asleep, and so it is a bit confusing. But it's really cool. As someone that's lived in America, has traveled quite a bit, but never that far north. I'd never had that experience, and it's pretty surreal. But I thought it was pretty fun. So.
For those that have done graveyard shifts, sleeping during the day isn't such a problem anymore.
There you go. You're ready for it, Cameron. The nice thing, one other thing to touch on Iceland before I move on is Iceland Air does give you. So if you're doing number 5 on my list, going to Europe, if you fly with Iceland Air, they allow you a free layover in Iceland without up to 7 days without additional cost.
What?
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. So if you're flying to Paris or whatever, and you fly via Iceland Air, so it might not. who knows if it'd actually be worth your while, depending on what the prices of other tickets might be. But if you do take Iceland Air, because it's not significantly more, you can actually stop in Iceland.
I was going to say they're usually one of the cheaper airlines out there.
Yeah, they really aren't. They're pretty reasonably priced. Stop in Iceland, stop in Reykjavik, and stay there for a week and see the sights.
How do you say the capital?
Reykjavik.
Go eat at Papa John's. They have one there apparently.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everyone there speaks English, just FYI. Okay, moving on. Cancun, number 3. So I debated Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii.
Oh, that's true. You haven't.
Actually, I have. I was 1. Thank you, but I'm not counting that.
You were 1. I was 1.
You were 2.
Was I 2?
You were 2.
Okay.
Anyway, I've heard lots of good things about Hawaii. I think someday my wife and I will vacation in Hawaii, maybe my whole family, but we have as of yet not done that. Now, Cancun, here's the big reason I chose Cancun over Hawaii. I live in Southern California. A flight to Cancun out of Tijuana is very reasonably priced. We're talking like round trip for and I'm going to lowball it, but I feel like around $200. So a round trip ticket from Tijuana to Cancun was like $200, and so that's such a reasonably priced start to your trip. And Cancun has the nice, beautiful waters, beautiful beaches. It's obviously a very touristy place, but you can get out and see some of the ruins, the Mayan ruins, and so we did that. My wife and I did that recently. We stayed at a resort. And resorts have a lot of the upsides of cruises. You don't get obviously to see different cities, but you still get the endless food, and you get to kind of see that one city a little bit more than you would on a cruise. So Cancun, pretty awesome. I recommend it.
And I'll second that. Mexico is a cool place. And again, talk about a place with a fascinating history. Mexico has so much that's happened, Anyways, yeah,
for sure. Cameron, you had something to say?
I was going to say I'm seeing $111 cheap flights Tijuana to Cancun.
That round trip?
Oh no, this one's $78. That's crazy.
I can tell you they're cheap. They are cheap. You go down to Tijuana and in San Diego there's a cross-border terminal, so you have to pay an extra I don't know what it is, like $30. It's not a lot. To get to essentially, you don't have to go via the port into Mexico. You literally just walk into the Tijuana airport on U.S. soil, and
all right,
it's pretty sweet.
This one sent last month, round trip price $98.
Nice, yeah.
Wow.
You can find really reasonably priced tickets, so highly recommend. Okay. East Coast road trip. This is number 2. East Coast road trip. Road trips had to make it because I mentioned budget's a big consideration. Road trips are obviously, a nice, cheap way to travel. And with an Eastern Coast road trip, you're going to be able to hit a lot of important historical American cities very quickly, because everything in the East Coast is so darn small and close. So you can hit Massachusetts, you can go to Boston, you can go to New York, you can go to Niagara Falls with an extra 5 or 6 hours, which is the longest of any of these distances. But you can go down to Washington D.C. in 5 or 6 hours. You can go through Philadelphia, all within a day's drive. And so there's a lot of history in a lot of these cities, a lot of things to do, a lot of things to see. Very obviously population dense, unless you start getting upstate in New York or upstate Pennsylvania. So, but yeah, really, really cool. I've been to the East Coast a couple times. And been able to stay there and do a lot of the things that you would expect and some of the things you wouldn't expect. Including staying in the basement of a Mexican family that lived in, anyway, whatever, it's a long story. Okay, so that's a really cool opportunity. All right, number 1, and this is like Tim's camping except better. This is a cabin stay. All right, so in particular, a Canadian cabin.
What?
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah. So I haven't done this one, but I spent a long time researching this one because my wife likes fishing. I like fishing. We like the idea of the outdoors, though to some extent, with some reasonable limitations. Like, I still want to shower. I still want to sleep in a bed. And I want to be comfortable when I want to be comfortable.
How big are these cabins? I'd be willing to split some of these costs with you.
Yeah, seriously. So they have these private cabins you can rent up in. I've actually got the name of the place pulled up here because I spent some time looking at it. I think it's Canuck. Of course, it's Canuck. Canuck Nature. And these private cabins you can rent, they have the limit. They've got like different sizes and different prices per obviously how many people they can fit in each one of these cabins. They're very nice cabins. So this isn't like the cheapest vacation, but it's not like unreasonably priced. And then you get kayaks to yourselves. You got some of them are on essentially their own little private lake. Right, because there's so much water up in this area that there's this. It's just you're surrounded by forest. You've got these private lakes that you can fish in. You could swim in. I'm guessing, even though that would be pretty cold. Though I guess if you go in the summer, it might not be too bad.
I'm sure it's still chilly.
Yeah, but very likely. But yeah, just some serene forest and some privacy, but also being very comfortable at the same time. You got your own barbecue. You got your own beds. You got your own showers. But as soon as you're out of the door, you can go swimming and hiking and fishing and whatever. And so like I said, I haven't done it, but I spent a long time looking into it. So one day we will do this because I think it's pretty awesome looking, and I like the idea of a Canadian wilderness vacation.
Can I do leaf peeping while I'm there?
No.
No? Are you sure? It's a thing.
Leaf peeping? What?
Yes, leaf peeping. Look it up.
All right.
Carl,
It's
have you read Hatchet?
I will not until after I've done this vacation.
Okay.
But I have read My Side of the Mountain. Does that count, Tim?
Well, they're close enough. Close enough.
Yeah. So not that wild and out there, Tim. All right. So these are whatever. But those are my 5. So I think we've got some overlap, but some good variety from people to pull from. Any last words, Tim?
I'm going to say, anytime you do your summers, though, make it memorable. Actually, try to have some fun. Some of us may have easier times with our jobs than others.
That's true. Tim.
Same about Tim. And also, just kind of a shout out, when we go visit my parents in Taiwan, this will be actually the first time my wife has ever been out of the country.
Ah, cool.
So
well, good.
We're trying to get her a little bit more world travel-y.
Right.
Really taking the leap. Cool.
They're flying, actually, Tim.
So. Well, it's a leap of sorts. All right. My last words here. It always kind of
those are pretty good words. I like it, Tim.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, there we go. No, just people always get so like uptight about their vacations, and they get so upset when things don't go according to plan. And it's like, how many times do you got to go out to figure out that it's not going to go according to your plan? So you might as well just let it go and just roll with what's happening and enjoy being where you are and being with the people you are, even when you lose your umbrellas and it's raining, or you get lost and like totally don't get to see what you planned on seeing. But, so find I guess enjoy the journey, whatever it is. Yeah. Just have fun with it and recognize that it's not going to go how you thought it would go or how you planned it to go, and be okay with that. The zen of travel.
Oh, I would like to add one caveat to that. And I would say that if you do go with friends and stuff, it's okay, or family, that sometimes the family does different activities during the same time. You don't always have to do the same thing.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. let it go. Just it doesn't have to go exactly.
Maybe the kids want to go to SeaWorld and the adults want to go to Harry Potter Land, and it's okay that some of the adults do that and that the kids do something else,
Yeah, Lord of the Flies.
Or if you don't get to do everything that you wanted to do on your list, you know what? Yeah, it's not going to go according to plan. Just enjoy what you get to do and be where you are and be with the people you're with.
Maybe go see a rocket launch. Who knows? Go down to Florida.
Right. All right. Okay. Well, thanks. And we will we'll stop it there, and we will see you guys back again next week. And until then, go dream of your vacations and make some plans and jump on a plane.
Happy trails.